Morning, year three. I hope you're well. Morning session so far. Today, with our learning for maths, we're recapping some elements of work you will have touched on in year two and earlier in year three, and that will help you as you go forward. Now, just to think about what would be successful today, we're thinking about finding a half. Now, to be successful, you need to understand what a half is. You need to see the whole of a value that you're trying to split into two equal parts. You confirm that you're able to split them into two equal parts, and finally, you check that the two parts are equal. So there's a few steps to it. It's not as easy to go, ooh, about-ish. Okay, so you have to be quite careful with that. Okay, look at all these flowers. What would half of them be? What would half of them be? Now, if I'm doing this, what I do is I look at the whole amount. So I count the whole amount because they're not in an array where they're neatly positioned. I can't always do a calculation. I'm going to count them. Now I know that 16 is a multiple of 2, and I know that it goes with 2 and another factor to make that product of 16. 2 times, great stuff, 2 times 8. So I know therefore that it's 8. If I wasn't sure on that, what I could do is highlight every other one of the flowers, and then I'd still see that there are 8, which are half. Here we've got half of the jewel. Now, but when we represent half as a fraction, we have 1 as our numerator, our number on top, and 2 as our denominator, our number on the bottom. That's because we've got 2 equal parts, and we're only looking for one of them. We're looking for one of our 2 equal parts. Now, again here, I need to find out what my whole is, so I can share it into 2 equal parts. Now, I'm going to count up because, again, it's not an array, so there's not the same on each row. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the top row and 5 on the second row. So 6 add 5 is 11. Add 6 is 17. Add 5 is 22. 22 goes with 2. What's the other factor with 2 to make a product of 22? 2 times, well done, guys. 2 times 11 makes 22. Therefore, half of 22 is 11. Okay, guys, now some of you like your bar models. Mr. Spring loves a bar model, and it's not just because of chocolate, but they're really useful ways of identifying what values are worth. Okay, whether it's an addition, a subtraction, a division, or a multiplication, they're a really good way of fixing in our brain what things are worth. Now, this whole, the big bar, is 16, but it's split into 2 equal parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split them onto each half of it. Okay, and I'm putting each one as I go along, and therefore the whole was 16, but I put 8 on one side and 8 on another, so therefore I know that half of 16 is 8. And what I could have done with those is gone 1 on that side, 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 1 on that side. And if I do it like that, it might take me a while, but it helps me understand what a half is. So Darcy, I'm sure that what you can do is get yourself a piece of paper, and when you're finding halves, get yourself a piece of paper and do this. Okay. So once you've got halves, if you put the number in the top, so if I put, if I've got 8 and I'm trying to find 8 and share it into 2 parts, and I'm sure, Chloe, you can do this as well. If you want to, guys, it's really useful. And you can use it for bigger numbers. And then what you can start to do is do 1 and 1. So I've now got 1 and 1. So 1 and 1 is 2. Then I've got 3 and 4. So I've now got 4. Then I've got 5 and 6. Oh, I'm nearly there. And now I've got 7 and I've got 8. And now I can see that in just one of my halves, 4 is half of 8. So I can say that 4 is half of 8. You're right, it'll be better than mine because I didn't pick a very good pen to do it. You can see now how we use that bar. Step by step, guys, can help you. You don't need to do a bar every time, but sometimes it's a really useful tool. Right, guys, this other way of representing values is called a part-whole model. Now, if you've not got a circle to draw around at home, don't worry. Find a bottle, something like that. This is one of my daughter's bottles. Okay, it's quite nice to do it relatively neat still because it allows you to keep it nice and neat. And unfortunately, her bottle has been in my coffee cup, so she's getting a double circle. Okay, so you've got your circles like that. Then you can just draw it together like that. You've seen a part-whole model before. Now, how many sticks are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 8. Now, what are those sticks of 10 base 10 worth? Each one's worth 10. So I know that's actually 80. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 tens is worth 80. So what I'm going to do again is put 1 in there, 1 in there. So now I've got 1 in each of my circles. Then 1 in there, 1 in there, where I'm sharing it still. Then 1 more and 1 more. And finally, 1 more and 1 more. And so now in each of my 2 at the bottom, how many have I got? I look and I can see that I've got 4 in each, 4 10s, and half of each one of those is 40. So you can work through like that. The PartWhole model is really useful sometimes for sharing values together. Okay. And what do we think to Ahmed here? You've got 12 marbles. You can see the lovely colourful marbles. And he gave half of them to Shady. He's a lot kinder than me. I don't share my marbles. Now that he thinks they've each got 7. What do you think? Is he correct or not? Now, does 7 go with another factor to make a product of 12? I'm not sure. What do you think? Should we check? Should we check? Which way are we going to check? Are we going to use a bar or are we going to use a PartWhole model? Mr. Spring loves a bar, doesn't he? Okay, so what Mr. Spring's going to do is he's going to draw that bar out, and you're going to use a ruler and pencil because you're a lot neater than Mr. Spring. And he's starting with 12, isn't he, with his bar model of 12. Okay, and then he's going to get his marbles. He's going to go 1 and 1 in each, and then 3 and 4. And then 5 and 6, because we're going all the way up 12. And then 7 and 8. And then 9 and then 10. And then 11 and then 12. Okay, we can see where he shared them. Now, if the bits that are circling green are the ones that is given to Shady, and then the ones that are circling pink are the ones that he's kept himself, will either of them be 7? What do you think? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not 7, is it? Because it's incorrect, because half of 12 is 6. Now, what I'd like you to do, you can either get some paper and draw these on paper if you want, or you can just do them as a count. Okay. What I'd like you to do first of all is circle half of the peppers, then think about a bar model for 14, and then think about the PartWhole model for those that value within the PartWhole model. Okay. Pause your video while you try and solve these ones, please. Great stuff, year 3. So having a look, we can see, can't we, if we put every other one of our peppers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 of the peppers. Okay, so we've circled 8, and we've got 8 that are uncircled, so they're the same. That's half of that value is half of 16 is 8. Here we've got 14. We're splitting it into 2 equal groups. What's the other factor that goes with 2 to make a product of 14? Half of the whole is 14. Half of 14 is, sure, somebody shouted it to me there, as 1, 2, 3, 4. I've put them there, and then it's 7, isn't it? Okay, and now we've got the PartWhole model. It's got 1, 2, 3. So every one of these, I'm swapping between the other 2 circles, like we did with our PartWhole model earlier. And I can see now that 30 or 3 10 sticks is shared between each of the circles. So we've got 30 and 30. Half of 60 makes 30. Okay, right, guys. Well done if you've had a go at those. Second ones then. We've got some digit square cards. So these cards, now each one of them has a place in those squares that are currently empty. Okay, so we've got 20, 18, 9, and 40. We've got to put those in the correct space. Maybe write the number sentences out. And then you've got Aria, who's got £20, and she wants to buy a ball that costs half of her money. So how much will that cost if she wants to do some footballing with a new ball that costs half of £20? How much do you think? Okay, so you can see the picture of £20, so maybe you want to draw that. So work these 2 out. Pause the video while you work them through, please. Let's see how we've done. Having a look at these digit squares then, digit cards, sorry. So we can see that half of 40 is 20. So the first sentence says half of 40 is 20. And then the second one says half of 18 is 9. Okay, so half of 18 is 9. And then Aria, so she's got £20, so she spends half of that money, so half of 20 is 10. £10 she'd spent. Right, guys, your main sheet that Miss Ashford and Mrs. Hand have sent you today looks like this. Now, lots of working out to do, and some of it you can use diagrams as well for. But if you've got any sticks, you can have a go at what Mo's doing here. And this is a great question for understanding how to use reminders. What I'd try and encourage you to do is try and follow the step by step, as well as working out in your head. And try and use some actual tools to try and work out what a remainder would look like. So where you've got 17 here, if you had 17 sticks and you make them into pentagons, how many have you got left over? Because that's your remainder. Your remainder, what you've left over. Today, 2 or 3 answer sheets will be coming, and you can check with mum and dad and any other adult at home how you've done with those. You don't need to print those answer sheets out there, just have a look at to check how you've got on with the work recently. Thank you very much for your listen today, Year 3. See you soon. Bye bye.